Hi, welcome back to the channel. Following on from the recent video where we made an announcement that we've made some changes in our life, in that I've been made redundant, but we've decided that I'm going to retire. That will give us more time in the van, and as such we decided we wanted to do a couple of major jobs on Harry. So we're going to go through this video and share with you those jobs. As ever, I'm sure it'll divide a bit of an opinion on whether it's worth doing them or not, but we've decided to go ahead and we'll share that with you. So the two jobs are, first of all, we're going to do some rust, or we've done some rust prevention treatment on Harry, and the second is we've increased our security. So I'd be interested to see what you think. Please give us a like and subscribe if you find this video useful. It does help the channel, but above all we'd love to hear from you, so please comment, because that's how others will pick up hints and tips, etc., because that's how we've learned through watching other YouTube videos. Okay, so let's look at the rust prevention treatment we've got. So we've had Harry for 3 years, and to be honest, I've regretted not doing this when we first bought Harry from new. There was an option with Ford to actually increase rust treatment on there. We could have done it at that time, we didn't. It was a cost choice, but looking back I wish I'd have done it. And obviously metal rusts. From the moment you get it, it starts to rust, so you can't escape it. It's just a fact of life. It's all about how fast rust actually will degenerate in the vehicle. So we've decided that we wanted to do something about that, because we're going to do a bit more travelling. We're obviously going to be travelling around the coast a lot more, and obviously once you start getting metal, getting exposed to salt, they don't like each other. It just speeds up that whole process. So we've decided we're going to put some retrospective rust treatment on the underside of Harry. I then did a bit of research around what we could do to retrospectively treat rust. I'm not capable of, and haven't got the equipment to do rust treatment, so I was looking for a company who would do it for me. Now there'll be some of you out there watching this may decide that actually you just need the product and that. So we came across a company called Rustbuster, who have got a suite of products that you can buy if you're prepared to do it on your own. They will sell you the products. I will put the web link in the description. You can go and have a look at all the products, the various products they got on there. But we were interested in the service that they provide to actually do the work, because it's not just about spraying what you can see. This is all about getting behind the metal, especially into sills or into the bottom of doors, etc. That's the key thing about that, because obviously rust will be working from the those inside parts as well, and that's what their service does. So we, on their website, they've got a couple of outlets that actually do that work. One of them actually wasn't that far away from us, down in Telford. So it was a company called AJ Rust Protection. So we rang up AJ Rust Protections, a lovely guy called Arwin, whose company it is. He's got a Facebook page, and I encourage you, if you are interested, to go look at the Facebook page, because part of his service, he always takes the before and after photographs, so you'll see all the vehicles he's done. That includes campervans, motorhomes, but there's also a lot of people who are doing up cars, restoring cars and that. So we went over and had a bit of a sort of a consultation, I guess, with him. Met him, really nice, genuine guy, and I always, you know, it's very important for me when I'm getting somebody to do some work that I build a trust relationship with that person. And I immediately, you could just tell Arm was a genuine guy, really interested in cars, restoring cars, etc. So we completely trusted what he was going to do. He walked us through the whole process, and like I said, it's not just about spraying from the outside. He'd get it up on the ramp, he'd take all the wheels off, take off the spare wheel, he'll take off the trims where he could, replace them, replace the clips if any clips needed replacing. But above all, he would start to get behind things, because we got the underslung tanks under there. That wasn't an issue. He wasn't going to drop those, obviously. He was just going to spray up and behind those. He's got a 360-degree, very thin sprayers that he uses to get up and spray that. So we went through that whole thing where, you know, he puts various levels of treatment on there. That's on the Rustbusters site, and I will put on the video here what was included in the service and the treatment we got, and you can see it was quite extensive. so we booked him in for a couple of days. It was a couple of weeks lead time. He'd got quite a bit on, which was again good, as a good sign. I don't think Harry was going to be that rusty, but so now it's probably a good time before we start to, you know, especially if we're going to go out onto the coastal areas and sea spray and that. It's probably the right time to do it. So I'm sure there'll be some rust there, but I don't think it'll be heavily pitted. But what Arwen does, he takes all those pictures, so I'll just share those pictures. So we left it with him for 2 days, collected it. He went through, he handed over the pictures, but he also handed over us a little after kit, basically. So if ever you need to touch up the wax treatment, because obviously the final treatment is to put the wax on top, which protects it, then you can. So there's various things that in that little kit that you can do, including a little nozzle, 360-degree nozzle, to actually spray it up into wherever you want to replace and that. So we're really happy with what he'd done. I feel as though you know, that Harry's probably a bit more protected. We always hoped to get at least 10 years out of Harry. It was a project for us that we'd buy a camper van and we wanted it to deliver us a 10-year payback of holidays and memories. We're 3 years into that. Whether we can get the other 7, because life's changed a lot with fuel and LPG and diesel and all that, God knows whether we will, but we're just going to enjoy the moment we got right now. So we've decided that, you know, treating it for us was the right thing to do. Please comment, because you might feel as though we've done wasted our money, etc., and you know and that's understandable, but for us we think we made the right decision. So the second job that we did was to bolster up the security, and you know, security always worries me. There just seems to be more motorhomes and camper vans being taken, which I find quite distressing looking at something, because it must be heartbreaking when it happens, either whether it's been broken into or been stolen and that. And you know, problem with security, it's never 100%. You've just got to make a decision to what levels you've got. There's all sorts of things out there, from wheel clamps, steering locks, clutch locks, bear locks for the gear stick positioning. There's then immobilizers and trackers and etc, etc, etc. There's all sorts of things out there, and we've got a variety of those things, but I felt as though, well, I wanted to secure the 2 sliding doors and the rear barn doors more. The driver's and the passenger door had already been done. Auto Campers did that as part of their fit out. They replaced the forward locks with a more secure lock, because the forward lock had got an inherent weakness, so they bolstered that up anyway, and therefore the 2 sliding doors and the rear barn doors was just part of the central locking. And the problem is, you often see pictures around, you know, drilling into locks, or especially on panel vans where they've actually peeled the door to get into it, which is quite a distressing thing when you see metal just being bent like that. And one of the things we found out as part of this process, which I didn't realise, is that obviously we've got glass on our doors, like a lot of camper vans have, and apparently it's a bit stronger and actually prevents peeling, because obviously it's got an inherent strength strength to it. That doesn't stop it being peeled from underneath. So anyway, we've decided to go and put some extra additional locks on the doors. And there's there's various locks out there. There's dead locks, which is purely a slot lock basically, or claw lock, which gives it again a bit extra. So we wanted to go for the claw lock. So I started to look around, and I actually came across one of the channels that we follow, which is Wizard in the Wild, and they've got a motorhome, and they'd actually installed claw locks on their doors. So there's nothing like better than a recommendation of a company, because you never quite know who you're dealing with. So I thought, well, if it was okay for them, it's highly likely to be okay with us. It was a company called AVR Mobiles, so I got in touch with them. Really nice. It's a small family run business, which I always love. I think the UK got a lot of innovation, and people who are prepared to set up companies like that I think are brilliant. So we got in touch with them. We'd exchanged several mails about what I was trying to do, got quotes off them, and I don't fully understand all the locking mechanism, but as part of that dialogue, it became apparent that one of the challenges I got is that on the two sliding doors is that the glass goes right to the edge and almost to the top, giving no space to get a lock, because I always thought I'd have the lock on the top of the door. So the alternative is actually to have the lock low down. So that's what we decided to do. And because there's the central locking that's already there, plus hinges and all of that, so it can only go in a certain place anyway. And actually one of the things, we've had to turn the lock upside down, which apparently is a common thing on transit that you might need to do when you've got glass on the upper part of it. So that's not a problem. It just means it hooks from, it turns that way rather than that way, so that's not an issue. So we'd booked to have that done. The engineer came out and fitted the two sliding doors, then realised that I'd made a mistake and I hadn't actually shared with AVR Mobile, so this is purely my fault, not theirs, is that the fact that the barn doors, again, has got glass in. They didn't realise there was glass in there, and again, the hook lock couldn't be high up, it had to be lower down. Again, and the size of the barrel would therefore change because of the thickness of door lower down. So the components they got basically wouldn't fit. Not an issue. Again, it's like all these things. It's what happens next. It wasn't an issue. They just rearranged, no extra costs. Came back a few days later and fitted the barn door with a hook lock on there. And the two engineers that came out were really good. They showed us, the locks very clean, very tidy. I must admit, when anybody's drilling into metal, especially Harry, I have to look away. It's a bit horrified when somebody's doing that, but they know what they're doing. You have to put your trust in them, and they did a great job.
God, that's quite a stressful sight. Seeing you drill into the van. Oh, baby.
You call it stressful?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the one who's supposed to be
That's
stressed.
true.
Sealed it all, cleaned it all up, and we ended up with 3 locks. Gave us 3 keys. It's all the same key. So Jane will have a key, I'll have a key, and obviously we'll store a key somewhere safe just in case we have to recut one. So we're really happy. And I think the key thing for us, and I always say this, is that I think there's 3 levels of security when you do these things, and I think I've ticked all of those. I think you've got the security of the device itself, whatever it is, whether it's an immobilizer or a lock. it does something that's secure. So it ticks that box because obviously as a hook lock it's going to do its job, you know, and therefore that will prevent possibly drilling into the central locking lock that comes with the van. I think the other one is that it's visible, and therefore sometimes putting security things on there, if you just making it more difficult for somebody to break into that van, unfortunately more it means they're probably going to go to the van down the road where it's a bit easier. And that's okay, because that's what I'm doing. I'm just making it a bit more difficult that actually they'll go elsewhere. So I've got these layers of security in the van. And I think the third one that sometimes gets overlooked, it's how you feel. So Jane and I felt as though we needed to put some extra security. So that means when we are parked up and we want to go for a walk or whatever it is, we're just going to feel that much more assured. And so I think I've now got to that level where I'm now a bit more happier that I've got that extra layer of security. You've all got to decide what your levels are. For us, we needed to put an extra layer on. But I think that those three elements of security are quite important. That emotional one is how you feel is great, because that means you'll enjoy the van more. You'll be less tense. And those who know me, I sometimes get a bit tense about things and I worry about things. So if that was a thing that I've now taken away, and it has, now I've had it done, then you should consider that. So those are the two jobs that we did. We hope you found that useful. You might divide opinion. You might think you've wasted your money, Stuart, Jane. You should not bother it. It's not worth it. The van won't be used in 5 years' time because of all the fuel. Or you might say, no, that was worthwhile doing. But anyway, let us know. Put it in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. And if you can, subscribe, because it all helps the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.
Wind is cold, you must return to the wild.